Sure, I imagine everybody in this crowd would say, yes, protect our right of free speech, protect our right to our religious values. But as soon as it comes to putting something in your mouth or in your lungs, you say, you don't have enough sense to decide what you should do, so we are going to use the heavy hand of government, come down and protect you against yourself. But we have gone a long way from the dictates of the Constitution. The Constitution, of course, says that only under declaration of war can we go to war. But we're in perpetual war now in every country in the world. It's going to last a long time until we go bankrupt. That is what I believe is happening. But we have done a few other things that aren't conservative, as far as I'm concerned, endorsed by both political parties. And one is that we have now endorsed the principle of preventive war. Another term for preventive war is aggressive war, starting wars because someday somebody might do something to us. That is not part of the American tradition. Just last week, there was a hearing on the Hill, and the subject of assassinations came up. And the administration was there, and they explained that, yes, they indeed do endorse the idea of assassination. And then they were asked, would you endorse the idea that we have the obligation to assassinate American citizens? And the answer is yes, they do. They claim that they have the right to assassinate American citizens. Now, what are the conditions? Somebody in the administration, we don't know exactly who, makes a determination that that individual is a threat. And if he's a threat, then he can be assassinated. Now you say, well, he's probably a bad guy, and he probably is, the people they pick. They only have 3. But the principle is important. Someday there might be 6 or 8 or 10. What if that would have been the fact that Eugene's dad might have not have been put in prison? He might have been assassinated because he was a threat. So this is not just casual talk. This is not radical left-wing liberalism protecting civil liberties. This is protecting the whole integrity of our country and our Constitution and the rights of the individual. We now have, as a country, have accepted the principle that habeas corpus is only worthwhile in a limited fashion. Some people don't deserve it. If they're designed as a threat, they can be held for unlimited time in detentions. It can be secret detention and still susceptible to torture. That is not what we're all about. We're much better than that. And we as conservatives have to realize that we have to bring this back together again. Good conservatives can believe that personal liberty is of the utmost value. We all probably more easily agree the free market is a good way to go, and yet we still have a lot of people who have to reject the notion of regulations and benefits and bailout for Wall Street and the Federal Reserve System and paper money. All these things have to be worked in. But there is nothing wrong with you being a conservative in saying the Republican conservative tradition, not too long ago, as recent as year 2000, we won elections by saying we shouldn't be the policemen of the world and that we shouldn't be nation building. And it's time we got those values back into this country. I believe we're on the verge of something very significant. I've spoken out quite a few times on college campuses in the last couple of years, and the reception is fantastic. And they want the whole package. They don't want bits and pieces. They want their personal liberty, they want their economic liberty, and they don't want dependency on the government because the government has failed and they know they're not going to get their Social Security, and they don't want perpetual war. They'll defend this country. I have more support from the military than any other one candidate during the campaign. So let us take this opportunity. Let us take this opportunity, and for those of you who disagree, all I ask you to do is think seriously about it. Think about it and read about it and study it and put it in context and say, maybe that has a point. You know, during the campaign, the presidential campaign, you know, off in the corner, laugh at him, all this stuff. Then all of a sudden, the crash that I was predicting and talking about and said we were on the verge of and we were beginning, it came. And then all of a sudden now, Fox News Networks had me on their TV about 60 times since the campaign was over. But let me finish by saying one reason why I really like this idea of bringing freedom together and why freedom works is I really think it brings people together. I do like different people to come together because freedom doesn't challenge people's personal values. They don't challenge their religious values. They only say, come together on your terms as long as you don't mess around with me. The one thing that, there are two rules that I have. One is that I want change, and I want a lot of changes, but I preach nonviolent change. I want resistance to the current system. But the other thing that I have to keep reminding myself, and I'll remind others, that in the process of us pursuing our goals, that we should remain tolerant. People who disagree with you or look different or have different views, we have to allow freedom of expression. That will bring us together. Otherwise, we can't win. So I thank you very much for this opportunity to visit with you. I hope it is challenging because we're in challenging time. But quite frankly, if we do the right things, we can pull out of the economic mess we have, and we can be better than ever. And I believe that's what this type of an organization and group of people coming together, because I know you want what is best for America. And if we work together and are a bit more tolerant, I believe we can achieve it. Thank you very much.